Hello, this is Beatrice, the High Priestess. Welcome to the Goddessme Arise Temple channel. Glad to have you with us. All right, so I did do a video prior, and it was a test video, just trying to see, how it looked on screen and all that other stuff, and to see if people were going to actually say hello. But moving on from that, I just want to let you know that I'm back, and these videos will continue. Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here. To reiterate, my calling and my mission of the temple is to assist others in finding their own spiritual wellness, okay? By offering an encouraging, compassionate, and a thoughtful environment. This is something that is interactive. So, questions are welcome, things of that sort are welcome. We do have sermons, we have classes if you want to learn certain tools to be able to get you in there. Difference between a high priestess and an Ifa. My grandmother is an Ifa. I choose not to do blood sacrifices. I choose not to deal with that personally, but I respect it, I understand it, and I know how, but it's just not something I particularly like to do. So, I got ordained, and I am certified and ordained as a high priestess. Been doing this since I was about 9 years old. Just a little back history about me. But going back to what we're doing here is about reconnecting you to the Most High, the Maulisa, right? Being able to be in a situation where you feel safe, you know how to pray, you know how to be able to communicate with your ancestors and your guides, okay? Real quick, an ancestor is someone that is blood related to you, okay? And a guide is someone that is not related to you. It could be a pet, it could be a friend, it could be a teacher, you know what I mean? But they stick around because they care about you particularly, okay? Whereas with ancestors, they're venerated through not only yourself, but all of the bloodlines. That's brothers, sister, kids, grandmas, grandpas, aunts and uncles, your family. Let's talk about what makes you you, all right? Or how the soul got here, how we get into the physical, and how all that stuff happened, right? And we're also going to get into today the creation of the gods, how the gods came into life, and what is expected of us, okay? So let's go back to talk about the ancestors real quick. In the physical, it takes about 10,000 to 11,000 people to make who you are, you, right? However, your immediate 489, or your 4,000 to 5,000, I like to call them the 489, is your immediate army of spirit, all right? It's important to note that this is about freeing them, giving back their name. And by doing that, they gave you power, they gave you grace, they gave you guidance, they gave you help, right? Because they're stuck here. And so in order for them to be released and reborn, they need to be given back their name, and not the N word or anything like that, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. So you understand that it took all those people to make you in the physical, all right? Which means consciousness was always available. Let's get into it. So mind, body, and spirit are the three things that you have to perfect in order to get into what some people call heaven, leisure fields, or whatever you want to call it, okay? In order for you to be able to do that, you have to perfect mind, body, and your spirit. And by following the 42 laws of Ma'at, all of them, without fail, is the only way. Until you are graced with the heart of a child, that innocence, you cannot enter the gates of heaven. And that's why there's purgatories, okay? Now, the first thing that was created was the spirit, the soul, which separated itself from the source. Source gave it its name. The soul spoke back, okay? Now, this is psychic energy, right? Because they don't have a mouth yet. They're just consciousness, okay? They're not in physical form. So the soul spoke back. And then it started to, now that it's awake, it started to think. Okay. So this is the formulation of the spirit and the mind. So I think, therefore I am, right? Then it got into, I want to feel, I want to touch, I want a physical body. Okay. Again, we're in this third dimension and also have a mind, body, and spirit, even though all those parts are individuals. They will respond in different ways, but they still work together as a system. Okay. Um, so now that we have covered how the soul got here and we understand how we got here in the physical form with our ancestors, and we talked about the 87 lifetimes that you must complete in order to perfect the 42 divine principles of Ma'at. All right. So those are the laws. It's not just 10 commandments. No, there's 42. Okay. Um, I'd like to bring in a little bit of scripture because, like I said, I respect all holy books, holy text, and for folks that happen to be Christian, Psalms 87, the world will come to worship God. All right, God is God, which is the combination of the Malice together, and we have John 8:7. He is who without sin cast the first stone at her. Okay. Those numbers 87 are very, very important. All right. I want to talk about the id, the ego, and the superego, right? Because we're still in the consciousness and the mind makeup, right? And when you're talking about the id, this personality component is made up of unconscious psychic energy, right? The spirit. I mean, or not the spirit, but that spark, that spark that gets you going, right? And it basically, it's like for your basic urges, your needs and desires, your primitive self. Okay, so this is a basic and fully unconscious part of your personality. Okay, and it contains all of the unconscious energy that is directed toward fulfilling a person's most basic needs. That is the id. Okay, so the primitive self. Then we go into the ego. We hear songs about it all the time, gotta be ego and all that other stuff, but people don't understand what the ego really is. And the ego is the conscious personality, the awakeness, right? The conscious personality, and very aware of what other people think of them. All right. And this is usually what people project towards others or what they feel like they're perceived as. Right. Now, when we move into the superego, this is the ethical component of the personality and provides moral standards. Okay, so this is the spirit, what I should do and what I should not do. All right. So again, even our spirit and our mind are still three part. One is the id, takes care of the physical stuff, right? Eating, all the other stuff that is a basic urge. Ego, what somebody thinks of me. And then super ego, which is spirit. You know what I mean? And the super ego is what's supposed to govern everything, because that's where your ethics and morality and everything comes from. A person's inhibitions, prohibitions. You know what I'm saying? Criticisms. This is where you work that out with the spirit. The super ego is the spirit. Okay, so again, the id represents the physical and the mind. The ego represents how we're perceived, right? The thought. The superego is the spirit talking to you and saying, hey, let's pull it back and let's think about what's going on. This is governed by the seventh chakra. And it's either something where you can get a cosmic download. It's that lotus that's right on top of the head. So either you can get the cosmic download that you're supposed to get, or your energy is blocked by the ego. And again, the ego is what people think of you. Throw little crystals at you to help with this. Sandstone is good. Obsidian is good. Limestone is very good. The Akawashi stone, which is the ancestor veneration stone, is good. Amethyst, of course, clears everything. And to represent the Most High, you want to have a sunstone and, that of your source. Okay, so my source is that connects me to the Most High, and everything else are Sekhmet and Bast, right? So I have stones that represent them, colors that represent them, because they're the ones that's near and dear to my heart. Okay, those are the mothers that have chosen me. Alrighty, so let's talk about the very, very, very beginning. Okay, in the beginning we had the Ogdod. Okay, these are 8 primordial gods who've always existed and came and created the world first. The first gods. Um, they came in sets of male and female, right? So there was 8 individuals or 8 spirits, basically, and they counterpart into 4 couples, male and female counterparts. And if they decide at any time to take back their gift of this earth, we're in trouble, right? So it's nice to say thank you every once in a while. We're going to start off with Nun and Nanet. Nun is male, Nanet is female. They're the primordial waters, okay? They eventually separated into the sky and the sea, thus creating the first element of air and the spirit, right? The sea will evaporate into the sky, and the sky pours back into the sea, and it replenishes it on a constant loop. Okay. We have Heu, which is male, and Huat, who is female, and they're the primordial of infinity and eternity combined together, thus creating time, space, and the construct of the reality and that we're in now and creation. All right. Infinity being time and reality, that's being the male aspect, that driving force. Huet, the female entity, which is, eternity, space, and creation. We think of the womb, we think of space, we think of a womb, right? This too is on a loop. We have Kek and Kuet. Kek is male, Kuet is female. They're the primordial darkness, and they separated by reaching for, the darkness separated itself by reaching for the light, thus separating into twilight, day, evening, night, and midnight. This is also the construct that created calendars as we know it, thus creating another aspect of time. Okay, we have Ker and Keret. Ker is male, Keret is female, and they're the primordial quiet, the consciousness, right? Motivation, thought. This is the consciousness turned inward and separated into male and female constructs, thus creating sentient life. All right. So they're the spirit, they're the consciousness that said, "Hey, I'm here." You know what I mean? This is what we're doing. Okay. Now, when we get into the first physical gods, we're talking about Amura. We're talking about his wife Amulet. Ra and his wife were the combined of the primordial gods, all the gods together, right? And they were able to birth themselves out of Nun and Nuet, the primordial waters, right? Thus creating the suns, okay? And the multiverse, okay? So the suns would be Amura, male, that driving energy, again, that force, that motivation, that, hey, I can do this. And then the multiverse is that of constant creation, right? So it's constantly giving birth already. They had their very first children, the moon, which is Kansu with his male. We have the stars that are Nuit, which is female. And Nut is also partnered with Geb, the world, the earth itself. Okay. When we talk about the Most High and the divine feminine, they looked upon the multiverse and it's like, okay, they decided to have kids. And we already talked about how the first trinity, or the first bodies got created, right? And this goes into the 2 stories that are found in the Bible of the creation. Okay. The first creation, and they said, let us make them in our image, was that of the gods themselves. All right. So it was all magical people, all kind of great gifts and beauty and immortality and all that stuff, because they were made directly after Ra Amulet. And then there was us, which is made out of dirt and clay. There was a specific God whom some worship even now, right? That Ra had decided to impart and tell him to come on down here, send Google Bird, and allow the the first primordial lands to actually happen. Ra pulled that out. Actually, the first plot of land, him and Amulet, when they birthed themselves. So the little land was there, right? Then we have, this certain God that came down, and he created everything. Like he created, um, the insects, the animals, uh, the human form, and all its forms. Okay. The problem was that only the, Ra and Amulet, the original gods, the first, can breathe the life into something. So imagine creating all this beauty, all these people, all these things, and not being able to talk to anybody. Everything is still, right? Because you needed the breath of life in order to animate these beings. Ergo, our consciousness, our little orbs that are flying around, decided, that they wanted to be in the physical. They wanted to feel, right? Ergo, being born. Okay. It's important to know the Ka. The Ka, again, is, where the source speaks the name of the soul. Okay. It is made up of the air element, and it's represented as the first. You breathe, right? You breathe when you were born, that first breath on your own, separated from your universe, the womb, right? You breathe and you take in your own life. You take in your own identity. You take in your physical form at that point. So I want everybody again to think about the 87 laws of Ma'at. Think about how you got here, how the gods got here. What is an ancestor? What is a guide? How do we get to where we need to go? So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Hope it wasn't too long, but I just wanted to get your feet wet and let you know what's really happening out there. Be blessed, be safe. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment line, and I'll get back to you when I can. All right. But again, if you're interested in classes, I teach not only about the spirit and how to reconnect, but I also teach tarot, I teach crystals, I teach elements, nature readings, the whole 9 yards. I will not seek you out. If you are interested in these services or would like to be a part of the temple, where you get all these services, then that's up to you. You can reach me at 909-693-4646. Again, that's 909-693-4646. Or you can go to Beatrice, the High Priestess 33 at gmail.com. So again, that's Beatrice, the High Priestess 33 at gmail.com if you would like to request a reading or request more information on the temple. Until then, we're going to start and continue these videos, and I hope that the spirit leaves you healthy and whole, and that you got some of your answers that you were seeking by seeing this video. So, love, peace, and soul. As above, so below. Take care.